everybody. Welcome to another Sunday morning conversation. Today, my guest is Shayna Powless. Uh, she is a pro cyclist, and she is still relatively young, so she's looking at a lengthy career. I found her to be very fascinating, and she continues to do amazing things with her foundation, with her husband, if I recall right. He's an NFL player, and they're both Native American, and their foundation helps traffic Native Americans on the reservation. So please do check that out, and thanks for tuning in. Hey, how are you?
Oh, hold on a second. I can't hear anything for some reason.
Now?
Hold on, let me grab my headphones. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you now. Sorry, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh,
But
I
I
could
had to
hear
I
you
had to get
before, and
headphones. So.
I could hear you before, and then I figured out she couldn't hear me.
Oh, well, all good now. I got headphones.
Yeah. So how are you? How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good. Um, Good 4th of July. Just stayed home, watched fireworks in the backyard. What about you?
I didn't do much. A friend came into town, and we just kind of hung out. She's not in town on a regular basis, so it's just good to spend time with someone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if you did spend
Nice.
it with your family, your dad and your brother are pretty accomplished according to your Wikipedia.
Oh, oh yeah. I'm not sure what it says on Wikipedia, but you probably heard something about Ironmans or EF, something
It,
like that.
it says your dad is an Olympic marathoner, and your brother is also.
Oh, my mom actually is the Olympian, not my dad. He's the
Oh,
Ironman guy.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So you were born and bred into this at an early age. When did you start?
I did a lot of sports growing up. Everything from cycling, triathlons, volleyball, basketball, horseback riding, gymnastics, swim team. The list goes on and on. My parents got my brother and I into it, like into sports in general, from such a young age, pretty much from the womb. Um, yeah, ever since we were really, really little. And then we always were like into riding bikes, but like we didn't get super competitive with cycling until maybe like high school. For myself, more so like college and high school. But yeah, we've grown up racing, competing not just in cycling, but pretty competitive in a lot of other sports. We started out primarily as triathletes, I guess. And then after graduating or going into high school, that's when we kind of started doing more cycling. Both my brother and I through like the high school mountain bike league.
What made you want to, to lean towards cycling? Is there something that pushed you?
It's just what I found that I enjoyed the most, had the most passion for. Um, it's the sport that I found that I was best at too.
Okay.
And then my my dad was always that was always his favorite sport too, so he was kind of a big influence on that end as well. Getting my brother and I into it. He's kind of like he was like our inspiration from such a young age when it came to triathlons and cycling. I mean, my mom too is a runner, and my mom did some triathlons as well, but it was more so like my dad that had more of the passion for cycling. So he was definitely a good influence from a young age.
What was your national title like in 2013? Tell me about that.
2013. Oh, that was U23 mountain bike nationals. I believe it was in Pennsylvania, something like that. Um, but yeah, it was U23, so I was technically professional at the time, but since I was under the age of 23, at nationals you race as your own, like U23 has their own category. It's like junior U23 and then elite. So I was racing U23, and I believe it was my first year as a U23 because I was a junior up until 2013, and then I switched over into the U23 category when I turned 19. Um, yeah, it was fun. It was a blast. Mountain biking was definitely my primary sport for a while. Started out competitively in high school and then kind of worked my way up from like junior to U23 and had the opportunity to do some junior World Cups, some U23 World Cups over in Europe and a few in North America as well. So yeah, mountain biking is very near and dear to my heart, but now I'm primarily a road racer.
Yeah. And so you've been pro at least for a little bit. Uh, what was that like just getting into it as a pro?
Um, I guess I just started out so young. It was kind of like just progressively, like as an athlete, progressively over the years, I got better. But I did start out by doing a lot of local races as a kid. Both my brother and I, and my parents even did some local races as well with us. Um, but yeah, I think just doing well at the local level, finding success there, and then doing well at the high school level, the collegiate level as well, kind of helped get my name out there. And luckily, I was able to do enough racing and had pretty consistent results over the years to kind of, help get my name out there, help build up my athletic resume, and then yeah, it just kind of like one thing just kind of led to the other, and then found myself on a pro team.
So, um, I'm sorry, I have a TBI, so I blank on what I'm going to ask. Sometimes I forget the question, or I forget where I was going, then I forget the question. So I'm trying to gather my thought for a second. Um, so what has
No
been your
worries.
which been your most favorite place to race?
Favorite place? Um,
Do you get out of the country a lot
Tahoe.
too?
Yeah, South Africa is probably my favorite. Australia is amazing. South Africa is probably my all-time favorite, along with racing in Lake Tahoe, which it's special there, especially because it's so close to home where I grew up, Roseville, California, in the Sacramento area. So I would say those are like my top two favorite spots to race slash train.
So I know what the etiquette is for men's pro cycling peloton when they got to pee. Are women like triathletes to where you just go while you're pedaling?
Um, no, I would say no for the most part. The only time I ever did do that or ever even heard of um, other women doing that, I guess who were primarily just bike racers, would be during like ultra distance events, like when I went to Unbound, like I heard of a few people doing it. I did it myself a couple times just because it's such a long race, and I didn't really want to stop. I just wanted to just keep going. So yeah, that was the first time I had ever done that, and I'm sure if I do the event again next year or at some point in the future, I'll probably do that again, just because it was such a competitive field, and the top five or top several women were all kind of going back and forth with each other for a while, so or almost like the whole race. So I didn't ever want to stop unless I had to, like for water or food, or if I had a mechanical. Um, so I just went on the bike when I had to.
Yeah, that's what I do. And it's honestly, it takes a lot of concentrating to not concentrate, like trying to space out for me to do like to pee and pedal. if I can do it on a downhill, I will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
and that's when I did it during Unbound was on a slight descent. It's just easier because then you can coast and kind of relax more.
so I was on also on your website. I found that you have a charity of some sort. It's called the Dreamcutter Foundation. Can you explain that?
Dreamcatcher,
Yeah, Dreamcutter.
Dreamcatcher Foundation. Yeah. So that was something started by my fiance and I a couple years ago. More so, it was him with his football agents. He's a professional football player for he's been on a lot of different teams, but now he's with the Buffalo Bills. And so his agents and him kind of put their heads together and kind of like came up with the whole idea for the foundation. And then his agents got him in touch with some people from this organization called Athletes and Causes. It's this company that works with professional athletes, primarily football players or other like basketball players, people in like athletes in ball sports kind of is their main focus of athletes. And so they work with them to um, start their own foundations or causes. And so that's kind of how it was all like brought about. Um, and so yeah, and so this was 3 years ago, I think, was when it really kind of all began. And then 2 years ago um, was when we were able to host our first annual football camp for youth kids. I forget the age range, but it was something like kids ages like 8 to like 18 years old. And there was like 150 kids that showed up. So it was really awesome. And Ely was there. It was just a 1 day thing. I wasn't able to be there because I was racing, but um, we're hoping at some point in the future we can do like a football and cycling camp, kind of intertwine the two sports into one camp. That would be our main goal for the next one. We haven't hosted a camp these past couple summers due to COVID, which obviously due to COVID, it's a lot harder to do things like that. Um, Especially up in Canada. So the first camp was actually up in Canada in Ottawa, which is where my fiance Ely is from. And so we were hoping to do another one in Ottawa or somewhere around Ottawa, um, maybe even on where some of Ely's family is from, because he's part of the Ojibwe Nation, the
One of the First
Doki's First
Nations.
Nation.
Mhm.
Yeah, Doki's First Nation. So he has quite a bit of family on his mom's side who live on the Doki's First Nation reservation in Ontario, kind of near Ottawa. So we were maybe even brainstorming on hosting our next camp somewhere closer to there, or um, maybe just do it in Ottawa again. We're still kind of thinking out potential spots, but we're also maybe thinking doing it within the U.S. So like maybe on or near where I have family, or on or near the reservation where I have family in Oneida, Wisconsin, and maybe even in Jacksonville where we're locally based. Um, but yeah, hopefully next summer will be um, when our next camp will be, either June or July. We're still not entirely sure yet.
So when I read on your Wikipedia, it said that you got engaged this year, 2021, and I'm like thinking to myself, we're only halfway through 2021. Somebody actually keeps this website up to date.
I don't know who does. I have no idea who updates that.
Oh,
And
they
I
do
didn't
a
even
good
know that was
job.
I didn't even know that was on there.
You didn't know you had one?
I knew I had a Wikipedia, but I didn't know that they had all that info on there.
And they sourced it, and they sourced it back to an article they did about your fiance, and I can't remember who did it, but it was about him, and then it mentions it like you with like one line in it. So that's how they sourced it. It was, and I thought it was funny that somebody's keeping tabs on your page, because most of them never get updated.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that must have been a recent thing because I remember seeing the page not that long ago, and it was pretty minimal without those extra details. So someone's been doing work recently.
Did someone start the page, or did you do it?
Oh, I didn't do it. I don't even know who started the page or
Hmm.
who updates it. I have no clue.
You have one. So,
Yeah.
well, thanks for meeting with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. I guess the other thing I should mention also, now that I think about it, with the foundation is, um, with Ely and I both being Native American, we are really like hoping in the future to host a camp like on or near a Native reservation, just to, um, increase the accessibility for Native youth to come to the camp. Just because both of us being Native, we just both feel a strong inclination to give back to the Native communities in any way we can. So yeah, our hope for the next camp is to have more Native kids be able to come out to the camp and participate. So that's a big goal for us. And we also highlight the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls pandemic in North America, through the foundation, whether it's just through, posting on our social media, posting through the Dreamcatcher Foundation social media, um, and then, share, like, posting about our website, the foundation website, and then just sharing with people, like word of mouth, um, anything we can do to just help spread the word that this is something that like hits it's very near and dear to our hearts, because both of us being Native, we actually, like, I'm sure that there are people within both of our respective tribes who have gone through, what exactly is happening with the MMIWG, um, which is very unfortunate, and the statistics are really awful. So, um, yeah, it's just something that we feel a strong need to raise awareness of. And we feel like one of the best ways to do that is through our foundation. We actually have a GoFundMe on our foundation website to help raise funds to give back towards people affected by MMIWG. Um, so yeah, that's just one of the ways that we're trying to spread awareness and help combat the crisis.
Well, hopefully this helps because I mean it's a new cause to me. I had never heard like I had heard of women being trafficked, but they never mentioned Native American populations. So
Hmm.
it kind of gets I don't know if it gets swept under the rug or if it just never makes headlines.
Yeah, I think so a lot of this happens in rural areas, like where these women go missing, where these women are ending up, murdered, just because of the fact that Native reservations are in such rural areas more often than not. Um, and also tribes have their own sovereignty, like they have their own laws, their own justice systems. Um, for that reason, it can be hard for outside justice systems to help, or outside police forces. So like local, state, federal, forces can't really do much to go in and help solve these crimes or prevent, because at the end of the day, these tribal governments are sovereign and they have their own laws. So if somebody comes in who's not native to the native reservation and commits a crime and then they leave, then the tribe can't do anything about it. So it makes it very complicated in that respect. And that's a big reason why these crimes are so bad. Like the numbers are so bad, is because a big part of that.
Wow, that sounds like it sounds like the MO of a serial killer to pick someone up like out in that area where it's just convenient. It's unfortunate.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, and there's a strong correlation also between where, um, like mining man camps are located and where these crimes are happening, because a lot of times, like oil pipeline camps, any kind of mining, like man camps that are set up, a lot of them are on or near native lands. And there is a strong correlation between where these crimes are happening and where those camps are located. So that's kind of like a big hint towards trafficking going on, like you mentioned, a little bit earlier. So that's just another factor.
nope. This has been great. Thank you very much, Shana. I
Hmm.
appreciate it.
And is this like, are you gonna be just doing this as an article or like a video or?
It's gonna be a bit. Don't worry, you look fine, but it's gonna be a video. It's gonna go up on my
Oh,
YouTube channel.
oh, I didn't even know you had a YouTube. Okay.
I do. It's kind of like a combination of like triathlon, swim, bike, run, mixed with brain injury, uh, stuff, and sometimes I get them to overlap. Like I had like a ringside fight doctor. You know, you have athletics and you have medical. So I just find people I think are unique. Like I saw your foundation, I just didn't really know much about it. So
Hmm.
I find people that are that at least have something interesting to tell, because like I don't have a huge following because one, I'm a white guy who's not a pro athlete, or anybody of fame. So I've managed to get a decent following of like 4,500 people,
Hmm.
but they all watch it, and people tell me like, we like when you talk to other people, about either one of those sports or brain injuries, or sometimes that crossover. They find it interesting. So,
Hmm.
and eventually
Awesome.
more people see it as time goes on, just because people just join right away.
Cool. Well, I'll have to check it out. Definitely. It sounds awesome.
Yep. Thank you very much, and good luck with the foundation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a nice weekend.
All right. Thank you.